Hello, everybody. Okay, so today we are going to talk about how to overcome perfectionism and procrastination as a creative entrepreneur because we need more artists out there to put themselves out there to create more instead of letting procrastination and perfectionism hold them back. And we're going to talk about exactly how this happens and why this is. So many artists and creators and entrepreneurs who seek to be perfect also tend to procrastinate. So these are actually two behaviors, two tendencies that's on two sides of the same coin, perfectionism and procrastination. How this show up, how this can show up in your life, it can look somewhere like this. Maybe perhaps you're waiting a lot right now. You're spending a lot of time waiting. So what are you waiting for? You're waiting for the right idea to land. You're waiting until you feel more ready, you feel more prepared, you feel more confident before actually writing that email, before actually editing that podcast and hitting publish, before actually putting your work out there and putting your a lot more of the things that you want to do out there. You're waiting around a lot, or maybe you're waiting until you have figured it out before you actually put your work out there, right? You're waiting until you've finally landed the right niche. You know exactly what kind of content you want to create before actually allow yourself to just put your art out there anyways, put what you do out there anyways. So there's a lot of waiting energy and not that much action, not that much external action. And perhaps you're also living a lot in your head. So you're like spending a lot of time, like it feels like you're doing a lot because you're doing a lot in your head, but there's no actual doing externally, right? You're living in your head, you're imagining worst case scenarios, you're worrying, you're living in anxiety, you're doubting yourself, you're thinking about all the what if scenarios without actually taking action. Or it might look like you taking action, but it's a lot of busy actions that you're doing. So it's like you're doing a lot of things, but you're not actually doing the things that will actually move the needle forward for you, right? Maybe you're cleaning a lot. I know that for my clients, cleaning actually shows up a lot. Like they spend a lot of time cleaning, or like they're gardening, they're tending to other people's things, but not actually the things that they actually want to do. And sometimes we can use these, like being busy, as a way to distract ourselves from and like as a way to like procrastinate, right? To actually not do the things that we want to do. Or they show up in some unhealthy behavior, such as overconsumption, right? So maybe you're overconsuming on content, overconsuming on social media, videos, you're learning a lot, you're like trying to get like learning one thing over the next thing, you're waiting until when you feel ready to actually show up, right? Or you're like, sometimes you might have some unhealthy behavior such as like binge eat, we game too much, or like we overconsume something as a way for us to escape and procrastinate on the things that we actually want to do. Or we can be stuck in details. So maybe you are spending a lot of time thinking about like tweaking this website for 100th time, and you still haven't hit publish yet. Maybe you've been editing this video, editing this podcast episode for a long time, and you still haven't been able to actually hit launch and actually just put it out there anyways. So these are all ways of how procrastination and perfectionism can show up for you. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Shirley. I'm a life and success coach for creative entrepreneurs, people of colors, and immigrants all around the world. And I am all about helping you create holistic success. So, what that looks like is it's not just success by the numbers, but where you're creating a well-rounded life where you can love, lead, and thrive in all areas of your life, in your relationships, at work, in your creativity, in your lifestyle. You're having amazing relationships, and you are not procrastinating on the things that actually matters, right? Productivity, it feels like you're in flow, you're working in flow. So a few years ago, I was in this exact same position where I have frequent burnout episodes. I was procrastinating a lot, and I was taking a lot of hard, forceful actions in what I was doing. At this time in 2019, I already started my business, and um, I like income is great, and there has been gaining some tractions, but I just can't seem to get out of the cycle where I will like push myself to take lots of actions, and I'll procrastinate, and I will burn out, and then I will need to like be offline for a while and then be able to come back again. It's like kind of like this perpetual cycle that never ends. And as a result, every area in my life suffered. I end up working so much longer until late at night. I spent so many hours, Monday to Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., just working away. I didn't really have a social life. My mental health suffered. My physical health suffered. I wasn't exercising that well. And every time, if I do spend time with family and friends, I'm worrying a lot. Like I live in worry a lot. I'm constantly anxious. When I'm resting, I'm not truly allowing myself to actually rest without feeling guilty. So there's just a lot of things that's happening, and there are a lot of things that I actually want to be doing more of. I want to put myself out there more. I want to create more events. I want to record more workshops like this. But there's like, but it's just like so hard. I keep on procrastinating on the things that actually matter. And now fast forward, now I'm 5 years into being a life coach, and I can honestly truly say that in my life right now, I'm working in flow. I am moving a lot. I'm taking a lot of actions, and the actions don't feel like they are forced. And I seldom have burnout episodes anymore. Like I don't really burn out. I just like work and I rest and I work and I rest, and I love what I do. And I really love my life, my relationships, and um I'm feeling so grateful and appreciative and feeling so in love with the life I have created for myself. And so I really want to show you how I've done this and how I've helped a lot of people go through this transformation for themselves as well. So today, in this training today, we're going to cover a couple of things. Okay, we're going to talk about why you have perfectionistic and procrastination tendencies to really help you understand what is actually behind these behaviors, because you need to be perfect. The need to be perfect, and the reason why you procrastinate so much, there are deeper rooted reasons of why you are doing the way that you do, and it's actually very important to understand those from like a life coaching perspective, to really understand what are the deeper wounds and fears that actually lies underneath. Because I'm pretty sure by now you know exactly what you need to do. You're just procrastinating on doing them. You're just not doing them, right? And we're going to talk about that, and we'll talk about different strategies on how to combat this. So first of all, I want to say it's not because you're lazy or that you can't commit or that there's something wrong with you. That's why you keep on procrastinating. I really want you to put this out there because I think it's very important. Sometimes when we continue to like put things on the back burner and we don't do them, we eventually get into this habit where we go into like this blaming, like self-blaming thing, and we feel like it's because there's something wrong with us, right? We're like, why can't so and so do it, but why can't I do it? Why can't Sarah? See, Sarah is doing all these amazing things, and I know exactly what I need to do, but I just can't do it. Right? There's something deeper. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you can commit. And it's also not because there's something wrong with you. You're amazing exactly how you are. And there are other reasons that's at play here. Right? And that's really help you to understand what that is. Procrastination and perfectionist tendency is the result. It is the result of our experiences and of our socialized conditioning growing up. I want you to think about this. Back in the traditional education school system, many of us were taught to seek perfection and that only good grades is the way to go, right? Literally, we were graded growing up, and we were being told that if we get A plus plus, we get accomplishments, we get showered with validation, and if we do bad, then that's bad. We receive punishment, and this is bad. For some schools, they even go as hard as like putting up the ranking so everyone can see your score, right? And if you grew up in a household with disapproving parents or adults around you, making you feel like you're not good enough, always telling you that, oh, this is not enough, you need to do better, it makes so much sense why there's this tendency in you to want to seek perfection, to want everything to be the best, right? And it can even get to a point where if it's not the best, you would rather not do it at all. Like if you can't do it perfectly, if you can't get like a grade, or if you can't be the best at it, you might as well not do it at all, right? It's like kind of like this black or white mentality where if I do it, I'm gonna go all in, or I'm just gonna not do it at all, right? And there's no in between. And this is what happens when we seek perfectionism and we let that be the reason that hold us back. Because nowadays, when you go into like after you graduate, that might be the case in school, but now that you're adults in the adult world, in the society, it might not be so black and white anymore. You're not graded, and you're not graded for what you do. And a lot of the times it is in between. And especially as a creative entrepreneur, as an artist, as a creative, we literally have to practice becoming imperfect and working on putting out our work out there anyways. And so if you're waiting and waiting and waiting until you are perfect to do the things that you actually want to do, a lot of times it's already too late. And as an entrepreneur, you're literally learning and pivoting and learning from your mistakes and failing. Like that is literally how you grow. You are learning by doing. You don't learn by consuming only. You have to learn by doing. This is not school anymore. And so this is why a lot of the things nowadays in your life, it might not be helpful for you anymore, right? As well, at the same time, like don't forget, we live in a capitalist society. Capitalism makes us believe that we're always not good enough. It's just kind of something that's in the air, right? What we're being told, and it's just kind of in the air that what we do is never good enough. Our grades are not good enough, our school are not good enough, so we have to get a better school, go to a better school, and after that we get a job. This job is not enough, we need to get a better job, we need to get a higher income, we need to always make more and more and more and achieve more and more and more, get that house, get that car, right? Everything is not enough, and so we're always seeking for more, and it's like implying that where you are right now is not enough, and so you need to seek more. And when we're on this toxic capitalist cycle, it can be it can make us always feel inadequate, and we're always looking for outside of us to feel something, to like fulfill something that we feel like it's not enough, right? So just kind of notice where this is showing up. Do you see how it is not because of you at all? It's just a lot of the conditioning, a lot of what is already in the air in the society now as we are growing up. And as well, there could be some past experiences. Maybe you've had a failed launch in the past with your business. Maybe you've had an event that didn't go well, that flopped. Maybe you have put out a content out online and you receive crickets, or you receive a rejection with a potential client. And because of it, at that time, something happened where you looked at it as a failure, where it really hit you in a way where it felt very painful for you. And so now it makes it harder for you to take action, because those experiences, you start carrying them with you, right? It's a lot harder because that's if someone yelled at you before and you really take that to heart, then it'll be harder for you to do the same things again, right? It makes so much sense. And so really understand that a lot of the reasons why we procrastinate and we seek for perfection, there's so many things that's actually underneath, and it's actually important to talk about those, because by now we all know what you need to do. Like honestly, we all know what you need to do to become successful holistically, to achieve the things that we want to do, but there is a reason why we're not doing it. And it is not because there's something wrong with you, it's because there's a lot of these internal things that we want to address. So These are the four very common deeper fears and wounds that's usually here that is holding us back from actually doing the things that we actually want to do and creating the kind of art and showing the kind of work that we actually want to do. The fear of not being good enough, the fear of being a failure, the fear of being judged and disliked by others, and the fear of being truly yourself. This last one is a little bit sneaky in a way where like there is this fear of being truly yourself. Like I want you to imagine if you let yourself to just be imperfect and allow yourself to be seen by other people imperfectly, how does that make you feel? If you imagine yourself right now posting a everyday photo without makeup, how you are without filter, how does that make you feel? If you post if you just like send an email with um, a couple of grammatical errors and maybe some spelling mistakes and just put it out there, how does that make you feel? If you put out an unedited video of you just talking conversationally without any edit, without any filter, without any aesthetic, whatever, how does that make you feel? Right? I just want you to notice, like if you put out an unfinished work, how does that make you feel? This is you. There is like this deeper, like the reason why a lot of artists and creators seek to be perfect is because there's this deeper fear of like, what would people think of me if I just show up imperfectly? Like, can I show up this way? Are they gonna judge me because of it? Are they gonna have their thoughts about me? Right? And so there's this fear of like the fear of being truly yourself when you let yourself be seen this way. And it is not helpful to lead with these fears at all. Well, first of all, it's because of these fears and these things that's here that's making you procrastinate. That's making you either go into like this black or white mentality, right? So, first of all, this might not be helpful. And also, as an entrepreneur and artist and creative, it is all about literally you trying new things and you testing things out. You are especially nowadays we live in an Amazon Prime era where so many things are being created and there's like everything is so fast, everything moves so fast all the time. You are literally if you're a content creator, you are literally doing and creating and producing a lot, and you need to be able to do those a lot at a very fast pace. And it is about practicing the skill of doing those things imperfectly and letting that be okay, right? You experimenting, you failing, and you pivoting is supposed to be part of the journey to creating aligned success as a human being. And I think it's so important to mention that experimentation, failing, pivoting, like it's supposed to happen to you as you're growing as a human being. Why? Because you are not an emotionless robot who does everything well all the time, who is either on or off. And if you're on, you do the same thing at the same frequency, at the same rate, at the same quality, blah, 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 blah. Do you see? Like, it's not who you are. And why are you trying to be a robot when you are actually a human being with your own quirks, with your own personality, with your own like edges, with what makes up who you are? Why are you trying to become a robot, trying to be perfect? That doesn't make sense at all. Your art, your content, your writing, your videos, like everything that you create, they are meant to be put in front of people for people to have opinions and to judge about. Like, I bet that there's something deep within you that's like, I love creating art and I also deeply just want my art to be seen by people, to be acknowledged by people. And when it comes to letting your work be seen by more people, letting you to increase your visibility, literally more and more people will have opinions on it because more and more brains and more eyes will be on your work. They will have opinions about it. And so if there's this fear of like fearing that they will judge you and they will dislike you, do you see how this is all so contradicting to like this deeper desire within you of letting yourself be seen in a bigger way? right? And let's talk about like this fear of being truly yourself. It's actually very exhausting to show up trying to perform and trying to be someone that you are not. It's so tiring, honestly. Imagine you showing up always packaging yourself and not you're like not speaking like yourself, not typing like yourself, not um right, like you're not showing who you actually are. No wonder it feels so exhausting to do any work because you're like creating content trying to make it perfect when some days you're just not in the energy to make it perfect. Some days you just want to make it 30%. Other days you want to do 50%. Other days you want to do 80%. And then you're back to 60%, right? And showing up trying to perform, it's like you are packaging yourself so tightly, so perfectly, as if you're coming out of a perfect factory instead of letting people see like this very human side of you. And over time, this pressure, it just makes you not want to do work. It just makes the content creation process and makes your self-expression, your creative process not fun anymore for you. And eventually this creates this anxious hustle grind that you are putting yourself on. It's like this grind that you are on. And there are three parts to this never-ending cycle. Number one is that you experience burnout. And so then you are in inertia, so you stop taking actions. You are doing, or it's either you stop taking action or you're doing a lot of other actions to distract yourself from the main thing. Or you're living in your head a lot, you're doing a lot of the action in your head, you're overthinking, you're worrying, or you're waiting around a lot, you're like living in lethargy a lot, not really letting there be any movement. You're having a lot of unhealthy escaping behaviors and overconsumption. So that's this first part of this, right? And then eventually, let's say you're here for some time, eventually you go to the second part where you engage in some sort of negative self-talk. So you're like, oh my gosh, Shirley, why can't you just do the work? You know exactly what you need to do. Why can't you just do it? Why are you still sleeping so much? Why can't you just like get yourself together and just do it? So there's a lot of shame, internal judgment, and criticism that happens, and you engage in this kind of negative self-talk. And then eventually, right? Eventually you like negative self-talk, like talk your way into finally taking some sort of action, into finally doing something. But these behave like you're like finally doing something, but this is going to be from push and from willpower. It's not going to come from you actually doing the things that you actually want to do. It's going to be from like, oh, because the deadline is coming up. And so you're like pushing yourselves, doing things very last minute. And actually when you do things last minute, you don't really create the best quality work and you're not able to think critically and think big picture because you're just like so focused on getting things done, right? And so that's the third part. It's like eventually you force yourself into taking actions from force, from hard, like in a way that's very hard, and from willpower. And guess what? After you finish this task, or after a few days, after like a short while, you go back to inaction again, distracting yourself again, or you might even burn out, right? This is the constant cycle that is not healthy, that's not sustainable, and that is sucking the life out of you. It is sucking everything out of you and not really letting yourself to love what you do. So, and eventually along the way, you lose the joy and you lose the play, right? Like, where's the joy? Where's the play? Where's the humanness in this process? There's no human when you're just acting like a robot, when this is just who you are, when like this is like the toxic capitalism that you've been subscribed to, and like all these fears that's holding you back, that's making it so hard for you to actually just love you do and for you to actually open up that faucet to let the creativity flow all of you and let fun and joy flow all of you. And so I want to offer some practical practices to really help you start to stop this pattern, start to cut the circuit so that you can practice leaning into what makes you come alive again. So, number one, that you want to start leaning into is to work on healing your inner child. So it can be as simple as like, let's say today, you know that there's this, you know that you have to edit that video, but you're just not feeling like it. And so instead of reaching for the phone and start scrolling, you ask yourself, why do I not feel like it? What does the inner child in me actually want right now? What does my inner child need right now? And just become present to with your body and just listen. Sometimes your child might say, "Oh, I just want to go out and play." And when that happens, can you really give that version of you, that child, permission to just go out and play without guilt? If your child's like, "I want to take a rest," can you let yourself to just rest without guilt? Right? Without guilt is so important. Like, we can all pretend to do things. We can pretend to rest. Okay, I get this. I've been there. We can all pretend to rest. We can pretend to sleep, but not until you actually do it where you're fully present with it without guilt. It's a different feeling. You can be resting, but guess what? You're still overthinking in your head. You're still not truly resting, right? That's a very, very different. And sometimes, let's say if you want to send out this send out this email to a potential client, and your inner child is resisting, does not want to do it, right? Maybe the child within you is afraid, and they're thinking that, like, what if they judge me? What if they reject me? And so this is when maybe perhaps it's time to give them some love, to really talk to this part of you, to really comfort them and really give them some attention, right? Like, hey, you're gonna be okay. Doesn't matter what this person says, I will always have your back. Right? This is how we start tend to this inner child within us and really speak to that part of ourselves and really connect with ourselves so that we don't let these fears be the reason that hold us back. If we are working together one-on-one, I can really take you through this process somatically to really help you connect with your inner child. But even just with yourself, you can totally do this. It is like a regular practice to check in with yourself, check in with how they feel, right? As well, really ask yourself this question: how can I make work feel like play and let myself be more human? How can I let my everyday, right? Think about how many hours per day or on a weekly basis that you are spent working. What if a lot of the times for me when I think about working, I honestly don't think of it as like work. I'm just like, oh, it's time for me to express myself. Oh, it's time for me to help people. Like, I see it as play, right? So, and I see it as something that's like so nourishing for my soul. And so, what is your version of that? How can you make your work feel like play and let yourself be more human in this process instead of needing to be uptight, need to take things so seriously? Okay, the second practice I have for you is to work on truly being okay with good enough. And you want to aim for B plus on purpose, okay? On purpose. If you are making art and you find yourself, you're creating something, you find yourself starting to go to like A plus plus, you find yourself starting to like go down that, you want to catch yourself and like tune it back down. Like actually tone it back down. I always tell people, if you get to a place where you feel like something is perfect, you probably outdone it. Like you've probably overdone it. If you're waiting until a time when you actually feel like you're fully ready, all of your credentials are down your belt, like you feel super competent, you're good, you probably waited for too long. Like you probably started way too late, honestly. And so where are you right now, aiming for A++ in your content creation and in what you do? And how can you tune that back down a little bit? What does B plus look like right now? You want to aim for B plus on purpose, deliberately. Okay? You choosing B plus on purpose, deliberately, is you standing up against capitalism and letting them know that you don't need to be perfect. You're good enough exactly how you are. You don't need to be perfect. B plus is already good enough. I can already just be good enough the way I is. I'm already good enough however I am with whatever I decide to create today. And I am valuable this way, even when it's especially when it's B plus. Do you see? It is you taking a big stand against toxic capitalism and declaring that you are enough just the way you are exactly right now without needing to try. That is really important. It is declaring that you are already valuable as it is without you needing to perform and needing to show up a certain way. This is you intentionally aiming for B plus and letting more humanness to show up in your work, in your creative process, in what you do. Intentionally aiming for B plus, especially this is especially true if you know that you're a high achiever. If you've been, maybe you're so used to getting good grades in school, you're so used to doing everything perfectly. This is a practice for you to practice doing things just with B plus and really being okay with that. Because when you can truly be okay with it, you will start to notice how you can really just let yourself be so fully yourself and let the confidence be truly coming from within, right? We're not like, this is not about lowering your standards and not doing the best with what you can. It's not about that. But if like you need to be perfect is stopping you from taking more actions, then that might be what is holding you back. I always tell people creating 10 pieces of B plus work is going to be so much more impactful to other people and to you versus one piece of A plus plus content. 10 pieces of B plus content is going to be so much more helpful to your people, to your fans, and to you versus one piece of A plus 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 content. Okay, really let that idea sit with you for a bit. What if it is through you creating so many B plus content over time that eventually you become very good at what you do? It is quantity that creates quality. Think about all the artists, of the famous artists and the writers and the people who are so skilled at what they do. It's because of their consistency in always putting out hundreds, thousands of work out there over the years that they eventually become so amazing at what they do. It's just through practice, through creating so many pieces of art. Quantity creates quality. Okay, the third thing to start to notice for yourself and to practice for yourself is to work on removing layers where you're trying to be someone you're not. Are you trying to show up to be like more professional, more smart, more put together? Are you trying to make yourself seem like you have your shit together all the time when you're actually like a hot mess sometimes? Right? Like, are you trying to make your art perfect? Are you editing yourself so much to a point where you lose your edges? Are you afraid of what other people are going to think of you. So you edit yourself so much and edit what you do so much to a point where other people cannot have opinions about you because everything you do is good, is perfect. And guess what? Actually, when you become that way, when you're so perfect, you actually become unrelatable. When you're so perfect, you actually become this watered down version of you because everyone needs water and water is great. But there's nothing that makes you so special, right? Just by being something that has no flavor, right? Okay, I think water is a different analogy. I don't like that analogy because I personally like water a lot. But you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like when you become like this washed down version of you, you lose yourself. And so really ask yourself, where are you trying to be someone you're not? Where are you trying to be perfect in a way where you know it's not actually who you are? Are you trying to edit your content so much in a way where you in a way where like you're like picking on the nitty-gritty details because it has to be perfect without really just trusting that whatever you put out there already has value, even when it is B plus, especially when it is B plus. Like your B plus holds so much value, right? Okay. The last thing to really work on for yourself is to start building up your self-belief. Start building up your belief in your worthiness and your amazingness right now. Where in your business and in your work right now do you lack confidence? Where do you feel insecure? Because here's the thing, the reason why you're afraid of other people's judgments or opinions, or you're afraid that other people will reject you, is because there is a part of you that might get shaken up if that happens. If someone has an opinion about you, and or like if an event fails, you might really beat yourself up. You might think like, see, I told you so. This is the reason why I'm not cut out for this. This is why I'm not good at what I do. um yep, they were right. I'm a failure, right? So versus like, let's say you feel very confident about your abilities and you know who you are and you own that. You own the successes that you have created to date. Then if someone rejects you, you're not taking it that personally. You're just like, oh, okay, maybe it's just not the right timing. Or, oh, okay, um, that's too bad. You know what I mean? Like you move on. Or like you have an event that flopped, right? You're just like, oh, let me learn from this, right? You're not taking it personally because you have your back, because you feel confident about your work, because you know your value, instead of feeling not good enough. And so when things happen, we get shaken by it. So, what is one belief that you want to start practicing today to really help you build up that confidence? What do you want to believe about your work? What do you want to believe about your talent and your skills? That is very important. So that even when the worst case scenario happens, right, can you still be here for yourself no matter what? This is the work that you want to really practice for yourself. So, from what I said so far, um, intuitively just notice what comes out for you through this training. Choose one practice for you to practice leaning into today, right? Maybe you want to focus on being more of yourself, or maybe you want to work on building that self-belief, or you want to work on aiming for B plus, right? Like choose one practice. Think about that one thing that you've been procrastinating on right now. Kind of notice where that is and choose one practice for you to focus on and really reflect on the questions I've been asking you to really practice this for yourself. Right? So, do you see how it's not just like you procrastinating is not the problem? This desire to be perfect is not the problem. It's what's underneath. And that is like the internal work that is actually so important to address, because once you can unblock this, then this is where we allow creativity to flow. This is where we allow natural success to come into your life. And here's the thing, you're not meant to be not moving. Your most natural and abundant state is to be in continuous motion. Okay? I want you to think about like your energy and your frequency is meant to be flowing like water flowing down the stream. It's alive, it's moving. There is like it's nature. There is aliveness to it. Versus if you're not moving at all, right? I want you to think about like a dead pond that has been blocked off. Over time, bacteria grows in it, a fish in there, like uh people like not people like things die in the pond. The pond is just dead, right? And it smells and like things grow all of it, like very freaky, right? This is what happens when you don't allow your creativity to come out. When you have a lot of ideas that's stuck in your head, that just continues to stay stuck in your head, when you have a lot of things that's within you waiting to come out, but you're not creating motion and you're not creating channels for them to come out, and you continuously live in procrastination, or you're living in your head. It's over time, this is not healthy. This is not a healthy way of living, because your most natural abundance state is supposed to be emotion. It's supposed to be you taking messy actions, you trying things out, testing things out, where and like when you're the most abundant, you're not caring about needing to be perfect. You're embracing your humanness and letting that be okay. You're not procrastinating on what you feel called to do. You're like, instead of being forced or dragged forward to take action, you are taking actions effortlessly. You're doing those things because you know you feel called to do them, because they are fun to do, because they make you curious, because you want to do them, instead of like telling yourself you have to, now it's time to do it, right? It's a complete different energy. And I want to help you to really work from like tap into different frequency, where work feels like play, where you're truly loving what you do instead of procrastinating and like being dragged forward to do what you actually want to do for yourself. And when you are in this state, you are trusting yourself so much more. You believe that your goals are done, it is inevitable, and so you're moving forward in your life with lots of strong self-trust. And on a regular, you just feel like on a regular basis, you just feel so much more calm, joyful, alive. You are showing up daily, regularly, for your life, for your art, for your relationships, for your business, for what you do, right? This is what it gets to feel like when you are in continuous motion, and where you are moving and things just feel easy and effortless, and you are in flow, right? Instead of procrastinating and letting there be like a block that is preventing you from moving forward. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful for you. Choose one practice today for you to lean into, and remember to let yourself fall in love with what you do, and let yourself embrace your humanness today, and letting that be okay. Okay, I believe in you. You're amazing. I will talk to you next time. Bye.